There's a good chance you haven't been to a buffet in a while, and suspiciously sticky utensils aren't the only reason. So many people are skipping buffets that the entire sector of the industry is declining. It's easy to understand just how important Instagram is to the food world. Top hashtags include ones like foodie and I love food, and it's filled with the beautiful, the delicious, the decadent, and the super healthy. That said, you can probably guess what the problem is. Buffets just aren't as Instagram friendly as the little independent cafe that's making their menu based on what they found at the farmer's market that day. Bon Appetit says no one should underestimate the influence Instagram's heavy hitters have. The biggest accounts have hundreds of thousands of followers and can drive loads of traffic to a restaurant just by posting a photo. Do you know where these people aren't going for their foodie photos? The all-you-can-eat buffet. Let's face it, food prepared in bulk quantities and served in large metal warming trays are not usually photogenic.
Hi everyone, welcome to Air.
If you've ever wondered about how sanitary buffets are, you're definitely not alone. The truth is, you probably should worry about it, and knowing that isn't going to improve business for buffets. Even if buffets follow all food safety regulations, there's still a huge problem: serving utensils. You're using the same tongs and forks to pile food on your plate as everyone else. Couple that with Tonic's report that only about 66% of Americans wash their hands the right way after using the restroom, and sharing that serving spoon looks even less appealing. Is it any wonder people are going elsewhere? Millennials are going to be running the world one day when it comes to the food industry. They're already pushing some major changes. In 2018, Business Insider reported that their impact was about to become even greater as they pass the baby boomer generation in terms of pure spending power.
Sales are down across the board, but mostly we're failing to connect with a group called millennials.
That means the food industry is going to have to change with them, and they're not looking for the same kind of food experiences their parents and grandparents enjoy. They're not impressed with the casual dining restaurants or the buffets. Instead, they're opting for takeout or fast casual restaurants like Chipotle.
Chipotle. What are you gonna do, go to Taco Bell?
Those types of restaurants are about as far from buffets as you can get, and that's causing a big problem for businesses that bank on all-you-can-eat enthusiasts. Healthy eating is getting more and more popular. Even fast food chains are creating healthier options. That's a problem for buffets. Buffets were built on a simple idea. You pay a set price, then gorge yourself until you can't move. Then you wait a few minutes and go back for dessert. Sure, there are always going to be people that want to do that, but an increasing majority of people are watching their calories and their waistlines, and buffets just aren't a good place to do that.
I thought you were trying to lose weight.
Lay off me, I'm starving!
Even Harvard Health says buffets can be a health-conscious diner's worst nightmare. And it's not just the type of food, it's the tendency to overeat, the difficulty in judging portion sizes, and the lack of posted nutritional information. The restaurant business is always changing, and so are people's attitudes about how food gets to their table. Specifically, they don't want to do it themselves. A customer feedback research group took a look at what impact that's having on what customers see as their ideal restaurant experience. It turns out that diners want to know not just what's in each dish, but how it's prepared and how it's sourced. With no real staff present in buffets, that's an experience diners definitely aren't going to get. Many diners aren't just content to pile mystery dishes on their plates and chow down. In order to make money, buffets need to subscribe to a pretty restrictive business plan. It's a delicate balance. Price your buffet too high, for example, and people won't come. Too low, and they won't come either because they'll be suspicious about the quality of food they're getting. Plus, they are limited by the economies of scale. They need to offer food that's filling but still cheap, such as rice. That limits what they can offer. Buffets have so many money-making rules that it's tough for them to break the mold, do something new, and lure in new customers without devastating their bottom line. More than one chain of buffets has struggled lately. Remember Sizzler? Their woes go back to at least 1996, when the New York Times reported they closed 136 locations and filed for bankruptcy. Part of their problem was their buffet. It seemed like a great idea to give their target customers the variety they wanted, but it didn't work. Sizzler tried to partner buffets with steak, but when presented with either a pricey steak or a wide expanse of buffet food, too many customers were opting for the lower-priced buffet. Buffets also take up a lot of space, and according to restaurant consultant Ron Paul, the average Sizzler was around 10,000 square feet too small for buffet tables. That took away from the number of people they could seat at once, and all that combined to mean the chain was headed for disaster. Looking at bankruptcy, they decided to rebrand. They eventually staged a comeback, but they did it without a buffet. There was a time the $1.99 all-you-can-eat buffet was as much a part of the Vegas landscape as any casino. The super cheap buffets are gone now, and it's not just a matter of rising food prices. They were never meant to make a profit. They were meant to get potential gamblers in the door. According to Time, there are a few reasons why this scheme's largely disappeared. You can blame foodies for a big part of it. People are more demanding than ever as to what's on their plates, but they're willing to pay more for top quality. And these buffets weren't fitting the bill. Millennials might be changing the nation's eating habits, but what about the section of the market that buffets are still targeting? The seniors. There's a lot for older customers to love about the self-service style of a buffet, but according to QSR, there's been a massive shift in what that generation is looking for in a restaurant, too. They say today's seniors are much more health conscious than previous generations, and that they're well aware of just how much of an impact a reduced sugar, low sodium, low fat diet can have on their health and longevity. It's such a big shift that experts say it'll continue as the nation's population gets increasingly older, and that means they're going to get farther and farther away from buffets and their gluttonous image. When you go out to eat with your friends and family, which do you prefer? A meal that's been cooked to order and is exactly how you requested, or something that was cooked hours ago and transferred to a dish to keep warm? Not having fresh cooked food that's made to order is a deal breaker for many people, and it's a completely understandable one. According to the Hartman Group, a large percentage of diners consider fresh to be the most valued quality distinction marker, and that section of the market is going to increase. Board Bia found that around half of diners make adjustments to dishes that are on the menu, and at a buffet, what you see is what you get. According to review trackers, 6 in 10 people head to the internet to look at reviews before investing, and a whopping 94% of those people say that negative reviews online have steered them away from a business. According to Yelp, about 68% of their reviews are 5 or 4 stars, while only about 23% are 2 or 1 star.
The food at the Gilded Truffle really, what's a good word?
That means those low reviews stand out a lot. And what does that mean for buffets? Do a quick search and you'll find there's an almost overwhelming number of buffets rated and reviewed, and most are in that 23%. Considering most of the bad reviews come with photos of the unappetizing food, is it any wonder people are being dissuaded from these places? Dinnertime staples like Old Country Buffet aren't the only buffets reevaluating things, and hotel breakfast buffets are also taking a good, long look at not just how profitable they are, but how wasteful they are. It's worse than you might think, and according to Forbes, a typical breakfast buffet throws away around half the food that's put out. That's an unthinkable amount of waste, and the problem really only came to light in 2017. That's when the Hyatt Regency Orlando's executive chef, Lawrence Eels, opened their kitchen to a team of researchers that looked at just how efficient their buffets were, and the answer was pretty much not efficient at all. The New York Times said they also found that only about 10 to 15% of buffet leftovers were repurposed, and the rest was just thrown away. Eels, who oversaw around 5,000 buffet-centric events each year, was shocked by the findings, calling the problem an eye-opener beyond belief. All that wasted food isn't just contributing to America's staggering food waste problem, it's money down the drain for buffets that are already struggling.